partnership between Ecentria and Alpine Supply Chain Solutions. Joining us today to speak about that, Michael Wohlwend, Managing Principal at Alpine, and Andrew Mironov, Head of Operations at Ecentria. Gentlemen, it's great to see you.
Good afternoon, Russell.
Good to be here.
Andrew, I want to start with you, if we might. There might be some people who are not entirely familiar with Ecentria, so just briefly tell us, what is the focus of the company? What does it do?
Sure thing. So at Ecentria, we are the purveyors of gear for those who work, play, and serve with passion. And in a nutshell, we are a distributor of high-end technical gear and apparel to consumers, wholesalers, as well as the government.
All right, now this is clearly a very important area that Ecentria is involved in, but obviously there was something that was less than optimal. There was a challenge of sorts that led to an eventual partnership with Alpine. So if you would, walk us through just what that challenge was that you were experiencing at Ecentria. What would you say?
Absolutely. Over the last few years, we had seen incredible growth in our business, and it created some unique logistical challenges for us. And primarily that included optimizing our storage and making sure that we had optimal storage density within our distribution centers, as well as looking at our distribution network as a whole and making sure that we were properly serving our customers and saving on overhead costs.
I want to turn to then, now that we've outlined what the challenge was, I want to turn to the solution that was brought to bear. So, Michael, let me turn to you and ask you, when the problem was brought to your attention, what was it that Alpine then set out to do?
So the first thing we did was a storage type analysis. It allowed us to identify the ideal size and quantity of the forward pick location and the reserve. And then we added SKU growth and velocity growth. And with that coupled with their order profile, we were able to identify justifiable automation solutions. We ended up going with the goods to person solution. Once we finished the STA and the automation evaluation, the second part was, before we make this investment in our network, where should our DCs be? How can we increase our customer service level and reduce our overall transportation costs? So we performed a distribution network analysis looking at inbound and outbound transportation, cost to serve, SKU infinity, and then more importantly, transit times, being able to reduce that and get it to a meaty, being able to service both the East Coast and the West Coast within less than 2 days.
Michael, it's clear to me that you really did learn Ecentria's business from top to bottom. So let's talk about timeline. How long did you spend analyzing just what the situation was there and the need that needed to be dealt with?
So the storage type analysis took about 6 to 8 weeks. We needed some feedback from some of the goods to person vendors to evaluate the cost and the benefit. So that took a little bit longer, but the distribution network analysis was about 10 to 12 weeks. So at the end of that entire project, Ecentria had all the details and the data they needed to make the right decisions to move forward with their investments.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me turn back to you, Andrew, and let's just talk about that. Did you have all that you needed at that point? All of the information, to deal with whatever the needs were at the company? What do you say?
I would say yes. Yeah, I think that Michael and the team did a good job of analyzing our data and asking questions to determine our needs for the future. And they were able to provide us with all of the intelligence that we needed to make decisions going forward. So ultimately, from the storage type analysis, we decided to optimize our storage pick faces with some different racking profiles. And we also looked into a goods to person solution that will sustain us for years to come. And ultimately, when we reviewed our distribution network analysis, we found that our 2DC configuration that we currently employ is actually optimal for not only our consumer base, but also our supply chain as well. So.
If I could put on for just a moment my potential customer hat, so to speak, and suggest that I might be experiencing at my company something along the lines that you found there at Ecentria. And I'm thinking about implementing something along the lines of what Alpine has. Walk me through what I can expect, just how satisfied you are at Ecentria with the implementation, with the solution, and what I might find once I network with Alpine. What would you say?
Sure. Well, one thing that I learned from the experience with Alpine is that they do a very deep dive into your data and your processes. They really take the time to understand your business and to understand your needs for growth in the future. So coming out of it, I really learned a lot more about my own business just from doing that deep dive and analysis that, frankly, we were not able to do ourselves, or we didn't really have the bandwidth to do ourselves. Also, it gave us the confidence in knowing that our existing distribution network setup was ideal for our customer, especially the locations that we serve. And so from that standpoint, I'm very satisfied with the data that we received.
Andrew, just one final question. You indicated, of course, that your business was growing quite a bit there. And I am sure that that is continuing, and I certainly wish for you that that is the case. But that leads to this question. Does that mean that this is a continuing relationship between Ecentria and Alpine, or is it just simply implementation and then goodbye?
Well, I think we've only just scratched the surface with what we can do with Alpine. So we've started by learning more about our storage types and our distribution network, but going forward, we are going to be working together to look closely at our slotting arrangement within our warehouse and just making sure that the layout is ideal for optimal efficiencies for our labor force.
Well, gentlemen, this is a great success story, I must say, and I thank you for finding the time to sit down and speak with us today about this relationship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russell.
Thank you.
Well, that's Andrew Mironov at Ecentria, Michael Wohlwend at Alpine Supply Chain Solutions, talking about a case study in which Ecentria's operations were enhanced successfully. Perhaps the same could happen in your enterprise. Thanks for watching.